I'm going to be doing part 1 of my makeup empties. Now this video is going to be under 30 minutes long because I have to leave. So I'm going to film 30 minutes worth of makeup empties. All spoilers, there's a lot in here. And after I filmed about 30 minutes of me rambling on, I'm going to cut it up and I'm going to have to come back another day for part 2 of makeup empties. So all we're getting today is part 1, and I'm going to get straight into it because I need to leave and I want to talk about as many products as I can before I go. Also, if you're wondering about the makeup on my face right now, I just streamed me doing this look. It's using the Colourpop Single Shadow in the shade Wishful Winking, which is currently available on their website. And I put that as a one and done kind of shade on my lid, and I think it came out really nicely. It's kind of brown. Let me just zoom in. I don't know if it's coming up on camera as much as it is in real life, but it's like a brown taupey kind of cool tone. The lip gloss, Colourpop Luxe Lip Gloss in the shade Italian Ice. Anyway, the eyeshadow is like a cool tone brown with like a blue-green reflection. It reminds me of a MAC Blue Brown pigment, which is like, speaks to me. Anyway, let's start off with a setting spray that I used up this. So these empties are all empties that I've used up so far this year. I do a mid-year empties and then I do an end-of-year empties because I use up so much product. If I saved it till the end of the year, I would literally be talking for like 2 hours. So I split it up. This is a semi-annual / mid-yearly empties. I used up a Rimmel Insta Fix and Go 2-in-1 primer and setting spray. This was good, but it wasn't life changing. It was nice. It had a fresh cucumbery type scent. It was really like a good spritzer. Like it wasn't. Oh, there's a bit left. No, there's none left. But you saw by that mist. The fresh cucumbery scent kind of reminds me of the Rimmel, the Wake Up and Go, or like, you know, the orange lid range that they have at Rimmel with the more dewy finish. It kind of ties into that line with the scent and like the freshness, and like this is more of a dewy setting spray rather than a matte one, but it does set the face really nicely. It blends all the products that are sitting on your face together really nicely, and it does look really nice, but it is a more dewy finish, kind of similar. The most like comparable ones that I would have would be like the dewy ones from like L'Oreal, or the dewy one from Maybelline. Those are a similar vibe of like very dewy, kind of gives a bit of moisture and like niceness to the skin. I'm really into them. Next, I have a bronzer. You guys, I have been wanting to finish this bronzer for ages. I've been using this since last year, and I finally finished it all up. This was the L'Oreal Wild Bronze Glow. I picked this up because quite a few people on YouTube were using it at the time, and generally, I don't just buy everything that everyone on YouTube is using. Like I'm pretty like, you know, I try to get things that I think seem to be cult classics or really popular products to see if they're really as good as everyone's hyping it up to be. And this was actually pretty good. It had kind of a more argan oil type scent, and I can still smell it. There was so much product in this pan. There was 18 grams, and it took me literally ages to get through. It was a really nice warm tone. I had the shade 01 Light Bronze, and it lasted me for ages. Like, I think a normal person, I use a lot of bronzer. Like, I'm a bit ham, but if you're a normal person, this could take you like a whole year to use up if you just use this one. I'm sure like some people would even take 2 years to use up such a massive bronzer. For me, it left me in like a bit over like 8 months-ish, I want to guess. I can't really remember, but a really solid drugstore bronzer. Great one for the price point. Not my favorite drugstore bronzer of all time, but definitely in the like top 5 or 10 that I've ever tried. Like, it was really decent. And I would recommend this to a friend if they were looking for like a nice drugstore bronzer. It wasn't the cheapest though. The thing is with L'Oreal in Australia, L'Oreal's more expensive than like a lot of other drugstore brands. And so that was still like kind of a pricier end of the drugstore range for me. So I don't know if I would necessarily repurchase it, especially since I'm like going to be trying other bronzers and stuff instead. So another bronzer that I used up, I actually have a lot of bronzers that I've used up. Oh yeah, I really do. Okay, let's go through a bronzer kit. So this is the Body Shop's bronzer. This is in the shade 03 and it is the bronzing powder in the shade Medium Matte. This was the Honey Bronzer and it's made in Italy. It's all gone. There's like a little bit of powder in there. Let's tap that out somewhere so I can like, can you see there's like a little bit of powder? Maybe not, but I'm going to use it up because I like to use up all of my products and waste none. I'm just dumping that onto another bronzer that I have. Okay, the reason I used this up so quickly is because it was such a light shade. Like, it was a really nice bronzer and all. Let me just... It was a really nice bronzer and all, but the shade was so light, and that was already like 03 medium matte. And the shade range in this just was like a little bit geared towards people with very light skin tones. They didn't have a great like shade range for deeper skin tones, which is probably why they discontinued it. They've now replaced it with a line that is like coconut inspired. I haven't tried any of them. I feel like this was a real cult classic. Everyone was using this. I feel like the Body Shop makeup was just a lot more popular in general, maybe in like YouTube 2014, 2016 era. I never see people talk about the Body Shop makeup anymore, but I really do like hexagonal design in the like inside the packaging, and the scent kind of reminded me of honey. I'm not sure if this was supposed to be honey scented, but in my mind, I like thought of honey as I used it. It wasn't a bad bronzer. It was really nice and matte. It didn't have any sheen in it. It was like a true matte bronzer, whereas this one had a little bit of like a natural reflect to it, if that makes sense. It wasn't a shiny or like shimmery bronzer, but it had a little bit of like radiance to it, whereas this was like a true matte. It was really good though. It wasn't as warm as this one. This was a lot more warmer. This was like neutral to cool, and then the next bronzer I'm about to show you was a little bit on the cool tone side. So this is another bronzer that I used up. I know we have so much makeup to talk about, that's why I'm like speaking at the speed of light. This is the Maybelline City Bronzer and Contour Powder. That's what it looked like. The inside of the lid is really dirty because I used it as a palette to like mix things afterwards. I used this up because the packaging broke, and I was like, okay, as soon as something's packaging breaks, I'm like, you're on the chopping block, you're next to get panned. This wasn't originally in my project pan, I believe. Can't really remember, but there was a bit of pan peeking through, and then I was like, okay, there's a bit of pan peeking through, the lid has come off, I'm gonna pan it. And then it took me like a week or two to use up literally all the product. This got used up so quickly. I had this in the shade medium cool 200. It was a little bit on the cooler tone side for my preference, but it was a really nice contour powder for me, because I still like a little bit of warmth in my contours, and this was a beautiful shade for that. The scent reminded me a little bit of the Batiste Dry Shampoo for Brunettes scent, and that is a positive compliment to this. I do really like that kind of a scent, and so it just smelled really good to me. I was surprised at how quickly it was used up. It has more of a matte finish, doesn't have much radiance in it at all. It was really smooth on the skin, rarely skipped. All three of these bronzers that I just showed you, really smooth on the skin, barely skipped. I didn't have like a patchiness issue or anything with any of these. I did feel like they were really nice bronzers. And this is one that, like, if I was in a pinch and I needed a really affordable bronzer, this is probably the most affordable bronzer at the Australian drugstore, alongside the Essence matte bronzing powder, which, spoilers, bit of pan on that. Maybe at the end of the year they'll be all done. I don't know, we'll see what happens. But this one alongside the Essence one, these two are probably the most affordable drugstore bronzers in Australia that are accessible and at a good price point, because bronzers like this kind of costs more in Australia. I don't know why L'Oreal is so expensive here, but these two are from the same parent company. The parent company is L'Oreal, but for some reason Maybelline is just that much cheaper. So I will repurchase Maybelline instead. Maybe next time I got it, I would definitely get medium cool again, the shade 200. It was actually really good on my skin tone. But I'd be interested to see if they had any shades that were like warmer. I didn't want to get the lightest shade. The shade 100 seemed like it would be too light for my skin tone, and medium cool was on the lighter side of what I would typically want from a bronzer. I could probably pull off the shade, does it go 300? I'm guessing it goes in hundreds. I'm not too sure, but I would definitely be down to try another shade if I was in a pinch and like couldn't afford a more pricey bronzer at the time. I'd definitely recommend those ones from the drugstore, particularly the Maybelline one because of the price point. But I really liked the shade and the just like glowiness without being like shimmer of the L'Oreal one. It really wasn't shimmery at all. What I'm trying to say, it has like a natural matte. Like it's not like a flat matte. It had a little bit of like a bit of something to it. Okay, let's go through some other highlights and powders, like face powders. This is the Maybelline Fit Me powder in the shade 10 Fair Light. I love this. This is so affordable and definitely one of the best price points for powder in Australian drugstores. Really, really good powder. The shade 10 Fair Light added a little bit of coverage, but didn't be like too much for the face. Like it wasn't like I would use this as a powder foundation or a replacement for foundation. I use this only to set the face, especially packing it onto the under eyes. It was good as a baking powder. It was good as a setting powder. Just a really strong powder. And if I went through some of the other powders I was currently using, this is definitely one that I would definitely go back to. Like literally one of the best powders I've ever used, especially from the drugstore price point. Just a really good powder, and I liked that it had a little bit of coverage but not too much that it like was a full, like it wasn't cakey at all. It was a really good powder. Definitely recommend. The shade was great for me as well. 10 Fair Light, I would probably repurchase this shade again as well. Really, really good powder. Like I can't recommend this enough. Go get this powder if you haven't tried it already. It also came with quite a fair bit of product. This came with 20 grams, so I was actually powering through this for quite a while. Also, the way that it dispenses was really easy to use. I just went and it would come out into the lid, and then I would use it, and then I just dump what I didn't need back in and close. It wasn't a difficult packaging to use. I do like the packaging. It ties in nicely with the rest of the Fit Me cosmetics line from Maybelline. Like they have a whole line of like foundations, concealers, some bronzers and blushes even maybe. But the whole Fit Me line kind of has this aesthetic, and I think that the packaging of this ties in well with that aesthetic while also being very practical. I think it was good powder, and I will repurchase it one day. Probably when I've used up the other powders that I'm using right now. I have a fragrance empty, actually, I want to talk about. This is from Pink Sugar. Actually, this is from Aqualiner. The scent is Pink Sugar. This was my favorite fragrance for a long time. In high school, I used to wear this. I would just spray it on my tie, my school tie, and then I would smell good, and I wouldn't have to spray it every day because my tie would still smell good. I would still smell good because I didn't wash my school tie. Who washes a tie? I don't know if people do that. Anyway, really nice fragrance. I wanted to use it up, however, because the actual color of the liquid was yellowing. This product, I feel like the pink sugar perfume from Aqualina yellows really quickly, and I just didn't like the way it looked anymore, and I needed a perfume to chuck into my cheer bag because at cheer I like to spray a bit of perfume, so you know, I've got your deodorant, you've got your like perfume or body spray, you smell good. So this was my cheer perfume for ages, and wore this to many a training, had many a good full out wearing this, and I have already repurchased a backup of this, so I have a full size now that is new and not yellow. And then I also have a replacement body spray because I really like the body mist version as well. That's really cute. And also at my boyfriend's house, my boyfriend loves this scent so much. He has I have a mini size of this, like a smaller one at his house that I leave there, so if I'm at his house and I want to use this perfume, I can use it at his house. Or if he wants to use this perfume, he can use that mini size that I've left there as well. This is a really good perfume for like girls particularly because it's like so like sugary. This is like a true like vanilla cupcake, like really like give you a headache, gourmand, intense. My dad hates this, but I love it. But my boyfriend loves it too. One time he wore it and he was getting lots of compliments. Even though he's a boy and this is very like a girly, sugary, sweet scent, I think fragrances have no gender. You know what I mean? Like, if you like it, you wear it. And so he did, and he loved it. Let's go through some more highlights. I'm going to try and get through all the highlights in this video. So these are all the highlights I've used up recently. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Too Faced Candlelight Glow in the shade Rosy Glow. It looks like nothing, but it was originally a split pan. On one side, it was like a more champagne-y, lighter shade, and the other side was more of a pinky shade, and they both had like a gold reflect through them. This is a beautiful, beautiful powder. It wasn't as intense as a lot of highlights that I typically reach for are, and I really do think that the term candlelight, sorry, the candlelit glow term really like makes sense for this powder because the powder definitely did have like a candlelit glow. It was just more of like illumination, more of a subtle glow. Now, it's not the same as the Hourglass ambient lighting powders, but like the closest thing I can compare it to is the highlight formula from Hourglass in that it has like that suppleness to it while still being like very finely milled. It wasn't like, I feel like they're not comparable, but that's the vibe. Do you know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. Again, a really nice product. I'm not sure if they still make this, but it was really cute. And when I was wearing it, I received so many compliments on it. I would receive, when I would wear this to cheer, girls at cheer would give me compliments on this. When I would wear this on like a hospital placement, people at the hospital would give me compliments on my highlight. Like this, people give me compliments left, right, and center because it's just like a subtle glow. It's a beautiful sheen. Just add a little something to the skin, and it's very, very beautiful. There's something unique about it, and it is a really nice one. The next highlight that I used up, this one took me ages to go through. This is Colourpop's Super Shock Cheek product in the shade Flexitarian. She, again, is an empty. She's all gone, and this took me ages to get through because towards the end of her life, she was really, really, like, clumpy. Not clumpy, but, like, the product was starting to dry out, and so it was really hard to like scrape up the product from the pan to use on the face because it was so dried out and becoming really difficult to use. Usually Super Shock Cheek products come with kind of like I don't know what the texture is, like almost cream. It's like a cream to powder texture, but not quite. It's like moussey, but like not as wet. So it has a really unique texture, and as the texture dried out, as I had this for multiple years, it just didn't kind of look as nice like in the pan anymore, and it became more difficult for me to like pick up with the brush and stuff as it like kind of clung to itself more. I did use it up till the very end, and what I did to revive it was I just put a little bit of oil. I dropped a couple of drops of Moroccan argan oil into the pan and just kind of like let it sit there, and it kind of gave a little bit more like, it revived the product a little bit, but it wasn't as good as it originally was. This highlight, the shade Flexitarian from Colourpop, so blinding. It was the most blinding, and I think to this day it's probably been the most blinding highlight in a pan like this that I've ever tried. The only thing that I can compare it to in terms of absolute luminosity would be the sheer metal glow that is the color, not Colourpop. What are they? The drops from Cover FX. The Cover FX highlighter drops are so intense, and they give that like metallic sheen to the face. That is what I could most compare this to, because this was so bright. This was like literally reflective, metallic, beautiful on the face. Not a subtle highlight at all. This is like, you know, ends of the spectrum, extreme, subtle. Do you know what I mean? Like, this was very intense. For a more normal term of extreme, I'm a big fan of the Dose of Colors highlight formula. Oh, by the way, I do like the Super Shock Cheek product formula from Colourpop. It is good, but I don't like how it dries out at the end, so I'll probably refrain from buying more Super Shock Cheek products in future. I'm not sure if it would be as difficult to use this if it was an eyeshadow, so I'm still going to buy Super Shock Cheek Super Shock eyeshadows from Colourpop, but I think I'm going to refrain from doing the cheek products just because it was getting difficult to use this. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. It was just getting a bit difficult to use. I do think they have some good formulas. I've previously tried Lunch Money and also Stole the Show or Stole the Snow. I can never remember what that one was called. But yeah, those were good as well, but like they get a bit difficult to use at the end. Okay, so I really like the Dose of Colors highlight formula. My favorite highlighter of all time is Fuego from the Dose of Colors Desi and Katie collaboration. I need a drink of water because I'm talking so much and talking so fast. Okay, so this one is from a similar formula, and it's from the I Love Sarah He collaboration. So she collabed with Dose of Colors, and this is in the shade Soulmate. This was the highlighter that I was primarily using on this channel for like the last couple months / year. There was so much product in here. There was literally 12 grams. It was a huge pan, and I used up all of it. This is a very messy looking compact mix. I was loving it. It's initially I thought this was going to be too dark for me, but I ended up finding that it blended out really nicely, and yeah, I loved it. The formula was beautiful. There was so much product, and I was just like powering my way through this giant highlight for ages. I enjoyed using it. Obviously at the end of most products you're like, oh come on, I want to use it up now. I've been using you for like every single day for like 100 gazillion days, and like I'd like to, you know, switch over to something new. But like I was pretty focused on panning this, and it took me so long to pan this because there's like a little bit left over that's on the side, so I'm going to scrape up and do a swatch. Let me get all this remnants of powder and do a dodgy little swatch for you guys. It's just very reflective. It's not as reflective as Flexitarian, but you can kind of see it just, wait, it's not coming up the way I want to shoot. It's, guys, it's just a really reflective highlight. Like, believe me, she is blinding, and she also melts in really nicely to the skin because, as you can tell, it's kind of like a darker looking highlight. Like, it looks like it's going to be a little bit darker than your skin tone. I wouldn't have recommended this if you had a lighter skin tone than mine. Like, I really do feel like I had the lighter end of the skin tones that could probably pull this off, because I don't like it when there's like too dark of a highlight on your face. I feel like it kind of detracts from the highlight vibe. But I do think that this looked really nice on the skin, and because it was like the limit of being dark, it kind of just melted in really nicely and just looked as though my skin had this like glowing sheen rather than being like lightness on the cheek that's giving the sheen. It was just like the skin was metallic. I hope that makes sense. It was really, really nice. Not as intense as Flexitarian from Colourpop, but still a really bright, blinding highlight. Stunning. Kind of a rose goldy kind of shade, if that makes sense. Like more of like a champagne rose golden kind of tone. Now this next highlight is one that I was surprised that I used up because I didn't know if I was going to make it through this. This is the Living Lab of Beauty Mecca Cosmetica Illuminating Balm in the shade Lit From Within. Enlightened Lit From Within Illuminating Balm. So this was like a little pot that I got. I feel like for my birthday one year, I got this from Mecca. This was actually quite a nice illuminating balm. I used this on placements when I was like doing like nursing placements in the hospital, and I didn't want my skin to feel really dried out. I would put this on and I would feel really like moisturized and glowy through the day. The thing I can most compare this to would be like certain ones of the what are these called? I don't know, like previously MAC had these like Let's Make Waves, or like these, like they weren't strobe creams, they were like strobe gels or strobe jellies, and it was kind of like that. Like it was definitely a balmy texture, but it was a highlight balm. It looked really nice when pressed into the skin, especially with fingers or like done carefully with a brush and like melted in properly. And it just kind of looked like your skin had like a nice glowy, I don't want to say sweat because that sounds bad, but like a sheen. It was just beautiful. This is on the more natural side of the pond, and it was a cream product, so it had a very unique, I don't know, something about cream products is so beautiful under the light because it just looks like it's part of the skin and like blends, like gives such a glowiness, because you're not only having the glow of the actual like highlighter that is in the balm, but you're actually having the glow of the actual balm itself. Like when you're wearing, you know, a lip balm, your lips have like a little bit of glow to them, whereas if you wear a shiny lip balm, it's like double the glow, but in a, like a more natural way because it's still lip balm. That's how it was on the cheeks. I'm just applying more lip gloss because I need some more. Italian Ice from Colourpop. She's a hit. You can't really see the shimmer as much on the lips though. Like, can you see the glitters? Not really. Whereas in the thing, you can see it's full of glitter. So I thought it'd be more glittery. It's not very glittery, but I do love the way it makes the lips look just like very like wet and plush. I'm a fan. Can we zoom out? There we go. Oh, sorry guys. Sorry. I'm like going crazy with the zoom. Another highlight used up. I think that's all the highlights I want to talk about for now. Let's go in with some, let's do some nail polishes. Sorry, there's just so much to talk about and so little time. So here are 3 nail polishes I've used up recently. These 2 are from OPI. This is the Rapid Dry Quick Drying Top Coat. My favorite top coat, I would say. If you're in a hurry, this dries, not only the top dries really quickly, but somehow it goes through all the layers of nail polish and makes all your nail polish dry at once, which is really impressive because a lot of the time I find that when you wear a nail polish, you put a drying top coat on top and only the top coat dries solid and then all the layers underneath are still wet, and then if you touch it, you may have like a film on top that is dry but underneath it's still wet. The Rapid Dry Quick Dry Top Coat from OPI doesn't do that. It dries all of them. It's really good. And then, this is a second one. I used up 2 of them because it's so good. Now I have another nail polish, and this is the Sally Hansen Complete Salon Manicure in the shade 507, Right Said Red. This is probably my favorite red nail polish of all time. It is a really good true red. It is the perfect shade as to match Louboutins. So if you want your nails to match the bottom of your heels, this is perfect. I used up the remainder of this painting the bottom of a pair of heels red because I wanted to make some DIY Louboutins, and it looked great. So slay. I've had this for many years though. I've literally had this since I was 16 or something. So I wanted to use this up just because it's been in my collection for a while. I don't know if you can see through, but you can see the brush there. Like, it's all see-through, and I've used up as much as I can get out of the nail polish bottle. It's a really good nail polish. I really like the Sally Hansen Complete Salon Manicure formula. It's one of my favorite affordable like nail color formulas, and I like this shade, and I will probably repurchase it at some point. I just haven't been wearing a lot of nail polish recently, but this is definitely a repurchase type product because it's just like the perfect true red. This is my favorite red nail polish for a reason. The shade is perfect and the formula is perfect. Love it. And it doesn't take forever to dry as well. Like, it does take a bit of time. Like, it's not like instantly one and done, it's dry, but it doesn't take like hours and hours and you're sitting there like, why won't my nails dry? Like, it does dry, and it like is very nice. And I really like the brush. Let me show you. So the brush on the Sally Hansen nail polishes, there looks like there's like the tiniest bit of nail polish on there. No, it's not enough to do a whole hand. No. There's like, it has a bit of curve, so the actual brush is really easy to get into the curved parts of your nail, or like up in the cuticles, and just like the way the formula glides onto the nail, it's very like, I don't know, it's very satisfying. Definitely one of my faves. Let's use some, it's a brow segment. Yeah, and I'll talk about an eyeliner. Okay, so these are some brow products I've used up recently. This one is the Rimmel Brow This Way, and this is one of the first brow products I ever purchased. I have it in the shade 002 Medium Brown, and I believe they still make this. It came with a brow pomade here, a brow gel, a brow pomade gel here, and then a brow powder here. And so what you'd do is you'd make your brow with that, and then you'd set it with the powder. It also came with a spoolie, which is cute. Let me get it out. Spoolie. And it also came with a dual-ended brow pencil, which I should keep. Once I get rid of this, I should keep this because it's handy. So 2 angled little brushes. I would use one in the powder and one in the gel, and it was a really good shade for my skin tone. Probably one of the better purchases of my like teens, because this lasted me for so long and it did a good job, and it's just a good powder, and it was a great introduction to using brow products. Also, I do like the powder in this as an eyeliner. I feel like it looked really good, like, you know, if I did use the angled brush and like did a little wing with it. And I also felt like it looked good blended out through the crease as a little bit more of like a crease shade, because at the end I went through the brow pomade more quickly than I went through the powder. So I just need a little bit of a drink. And so I used up the pomade more quickly than the powder. I had a lot more powder left over in the compact, so I was trying to find other ways to use the powder because I liked the pomade just like a little bit more, to be honest. And so I was using the powder as eyeliner, or I was using it as eyeshadow, and it looked good all the ways. It was a really good versatile little thing, and it was so compact it was easy to just like throw it in my travel makeup bag. Oh yeah, these. So I used up another one of my Colourpop Brow Boss brow pencils. just a really good brow pencil. There's nothing left in there, as you can see, but yeah, just a really good one. And mine is in the shade Ash Brown. That was my shade. And I like the spoolie on the end, but then the spoolie broke. And so every time I took off the lid, spoolie would come off with me, and then I had to do this so that I could stick it back into the thing. And so I could do my brows with the spoolie, and then I'd stick it back on, only to come off next time like that. Annoying, but it's because I split the pencil. It's my fault. But it's good, and I would repurchase. I'm just going through some other brow products right now that I've purchased from Benefit instead. But I will always come back to Colourpop brow products because they're affordable, and I feel like brow products are something I cycle through quite quickly, and so I don't want to be always spending a load of money on brow products when there is something so affordable that does it just as good. This is really, really good. I definitely recommend it, and I will be repurchasing it once I use up some other stuff. Yes. Something that I won't be repurchasing, but I didn't purchase this to begin with. This is the Makeup Revolution London Revolution, the Liner Revolution eyeliner. The Liner Revolution. Makeup Revolution, the Makeup Revolution. Anyway, it's a felt tip liner. That's literally its only flaw, is it was a felt tip. So I don't like felt tip liners as much as I like brush tip liners. I prefer the precise application from like the more small brush-like tip. This wasn't necessarily the worst eyeliner ever, but it wasn't the best. And there is better out there, so I will turn to that. I got this for free when I purchased some other stuff from Makeup Revolution. It was that Little Mermaid collection that I love because it's Little Mermaid themed. But I don't love this because it didn't change my life. It wasn't radical. It wasn't the worst eyeliner. It just wasn't my favorite. Okay. I'm trying to sort through what I've got in here. Let's go through some face products. How am I going for time? I've got about 3 minutes left. We don't have time for face products. Let's do mascaras instead, and we'll leave it at that. Oh, one more brow product as well. Okay, we'll do mascaras and brow products, and then I'll leave the rest for my next video. Okay, so I have the Essence Lash Princess. Really, really good, affordable mascara. I'll definitely be trying this in the different formulas. So I've got the pink one here, but it also comes in a blue component, and also the same version, instead of where it's pink, it's purple. And I think there's another one where it's green, I want to say. Anyway, I want to try all of them. It was a really, really good one. Here is what the spoolie looks like. Mine is just like quite dried out, but it was a really good one for quite a long time. I like a more wet formula when it comes to mascara, and this definitely served for quite a while. I think the packaging is so cute. Like, it's so sweet. It's definitely like a princess style, like Lash Princess. Yes. Just a really good mascara, and probably one of the better ones that I've tried from the drugstore, particularly in Australia, because yeah, it's got a kind of unique thing because it's got a bit of a curve in it. I hope you get the vibe of the spoolie. But yeah, it's kind of a more unique spoolie, but mine's just getting too dried out, and I've been using it for so long, and it's like bad for you to use mascaras for like way too long, so I'm gonna stop using it. But it was really good, and I will be repurchasing it in the other variations, and eventually maybe one day I'll repurchase the pink one. I just have some other mascaras that I'm working my way through currently, but it was really good, and I would recommend this. This one I wouldn't really recommend, not that it was necessarily bad, it just wasn't my type. This is the Great Lash from Maybelline, and it is in the shade Blackest Black. Looks like this. Maybelline's Great Lash Mascara, as everyone knows, is a cult classic. This is the Blackest Black one though, so same kind of spoolie, but it has the black lid rather than the classic green lid. It wasn't necessarily bad, but I'd had this for ages before I finally opened the tube and started using it, so as you can see, it was very dried out. This is a very like dry mascara. At this point, there's one of my lashes that stuck to it. Like, that's really gross. I don't know, it was just very, very difficult for me to get product off this, because by the time I started using it, it was already so dry. Like, it's really dry in there. So that was a bit of a sad time that I waited so long to use this one. Use things quickly so that you can enjoy them and use them up before they're dried out or wasted. That was a bit of a, you know, usually I get through it that kind of speed rather than this kind of speed. That was a bit of an L. It wasn't the worst mascara. I just don't think I can give you a true depiction of what this is like, because one, the Great Lash range is very, like, it's good for an everyday mascara. It's not necessarily the worst, but it's just like a very humble, coats your lashes, gives you a coat of black mascara, no bells and whistles. It's very simple, good mascara. I want something that does more for me, so that's why I don't really like scream and rave about these ones. It's not the worst, it's not my fave. And then the last thing I have to talk about today is this silly little stump of a pencil. I stopped using it because I can't get it out very easily unless I do that. But this is the brow pencil that I'm retiring. This is my first brow pencil, I believe, that I ever purchased from Rimmel. It is tiny. I can't remember what shade it was. It's in the shade brown, I think. It has a good little spoolie that I've brushed through my brow hairs since I was a teenager, and I've sharpened it from like a whole pencil all the way down. This is way too small for me to use anymore. It's no longer practical in my makeup bag. And the tip, I don't know if you can tell, but the tip, there's like a bit of wood. So if I sharpen it anymore, it's not going to be able to come back out of the thing. I've enjoyed it for so long. I'm happy to let it go. I am sad to let it go. Obviously, I've used it till it's like literally a nub, but I can't keep pushing it. So I'm going to say goodbye because I have to. Mwah! Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service, little brow pencil. And that's all. Now, I do have some other empties in here still. There's quite a bit more to go through. And there are some things that I'm looking at on my desk that are this far away from being used up. So I will be posting part 2 probably in early July, just because I try and... So my cutoff date for my project pan when it comes to the mid-yearly one, like the one that I'm doing right now, is July 1st. So that gives me all of from January 1st to June 30th. Yeah. Gives me all of from January 1st to June 30th to use up makeup products, and anything that fits into that time frame that I use up gets to go in this project pan. If it doesn't make it by June 30th, it goes into the second half of the year's project pan, and it goes into the annual one at the end of the year instead of this one. So anything that doesn't get used up in the next about a week or so will go into the end of the year, but I have a couple of things that I think won't last me more than like 3 more uses kind of thing that I'll chuck into that project pan. But I will wait till July 1st just to make sure that I've definitely included an accurate depiction of things that I've used up in 6 months. But yeah, those are part of the things that I've used up in 6 months. I hope you enjoyed this massive, very fast speed talking makeup empties semi-annual, biannual, whatever, yearly video. If you enjoyed, you can give this video a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you have used up recently. I find it so satisfying to go through an entire product. You know, when I was like getting my last bit of bronzer out of this big bronzer that I've been using for ages, it was so satisfying. I've been using it for ages, and finally I'd worked my way through an entire product and I had enjoyed every bit of it. You know what I mean? It was a good move. It just feels good. So yeah, it's good to be mindful about your consumption of makeup as well when you do these, because it's like it makes you realize how long it takes for you to really go through an entire bronzer. So I'm not going to go out and buy like 20 bronzers when I can only use up like 1, 2, 3, 4, like I don't know, maybe I only go through 7 a year. And so if I bought 20 bronzers a year, it wouldn't really work out. Now I do know also that I go through makeup at a very high speed. I do a lot of my friends' makeup when they come over. I'm like the person who enjoys doing everyone's makeup for them. So I'm like, oh, it's all right. I'll use one of mine, sanitize one of my products, use it on them, sanitize it again. So my products do get a lot of use, and I do wear makeup almost every day. Sometimes I do like multiple faces a day. Like I might do one face in the morning, live my day, and then go out at night and beat my face all over again. I am someone who uses a lot of makeup, so that is also contributing to why I go through makeup at such a high speed, such a high rate. Anyway, that's all I have to share with you guys today. If you like this video, you can subscribe to see part 2, and you can find me on all my socials if you want to see more of me. I'm available everywhere at Emily Titch or Emily Titch 20. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Have a good day. Bye!